The elemental nation's continent is much larger than people realize, as it was once part of a much larger land mass than the maps shown today. If you look at the map, you'll notice that it doesn't show what's beyond Iwa and Suna, beyond the country of earth and wind. For you see, all of the elemental countries are located on the country's eastern side, and what lies beyond those two countries is a massive wall that stretches for miles from the most northern part of the continent to the southern part, completely separating the east from the west. This wall prevents violence from spreading from the west to the east. When it came to power comparisons, the west was superior to the east in every way, whether it was technology, fighting styles, or even power. The contrast was so stark that it was as if he had a huge demonic dragon ruling over his land versus a small frog in his small well. Nobody, not even the cages of shinobi villages or the daimyos ruling over their domain, would dare to cross this barrier. Even the legendary Uchiha Madara dared not cross the wall for fear of drawing attention to even one of the war-hardened factions there. Beyond this massive wall, which was erected during the time of the Sage of the Six Paths by the sage himself, fought warlords, samurais, shinobis, assassins, and even demons to protect their respective territories from rivals. It was the reason the sage built the wall in the first place, knowing that without it, the east would be easily consumed by the powers of the west. Years later, many feudal lords of the east commissioned the Whirlpool clan to use their mastery of the sealing arts to cover the walls with seals to prevent deterioration and strengthen them. Before his death, the Sage of the Six Paths declared that if the West's conflicts were brought to the East, more than half of the East would be wiped out before a proper counterattack could be mounted. Naturally, legends and myths fade with the passage of time. The warnings were ignored because the East believed they were powerful, if not invincible. Nobody, however, dares to cross. How could they? There was no point in going over to a war-torn land to conquer if they didn't believe they could get anything of value. Warnings were ignored over time as the East's arrogance and stupidity grew, until a single incident became the catalyst that completely shook the East's foundations. And that specific incident occurred on a day when Uchiha Sasuke decided to defect from Konoha to join Orochimaru, but was unable to do so due to the efforts of one Uzumaki Naruto, and was returned to Konoha. The two had fought in a brutal battle, with Naruto on a mission to bring Sasuke back to the Leaf and the Uchiha on a mission to slay his pursuer for greater power. Naruto had received 2 Chidori to the chest, but he had endured the lethality of the jutsu, as well as the pure agony that came with the rest of his injuries from the battle to return Sasuke to Konoha. Naruto used 2 tails of chakra to overwhelm Sasuke in the last Chidori versus Rasengan battle. The blonde shinobi hoped that his actions would demonstrate that he was not a monster, that he was not the Kyuubi, and, most importantly, that he was finally worthy of Konoha's recognition. The council, made up of 11 civilians, 11 clan heads, 2 advisors, and the Hokage, would finally recognize him. He was, unfortunately, mistaken. Uzumaki Naruto. Genin Ninja number 12607, Tsunade said in a hushed tone, not trusting her own voice. It is my duty to inform you that a vote has been held, and a majority decision of 17-8 in the council has been made to strip you of your rank and banish you from Konoha, effective immediately. The reason for this is that, despite your mission, you have caused significant harm to the last Uchiha. You have until the next sunset to leave the Leaf Village, and if you do, you will be killed on sight. Another reason Tsunade didn't say anything was that everyone had seen Naruto use the Kyuubi's chakra and was afraid of the fox escaping. Despite the 4th sealing ability, Naruto had been summoned to the council despite still being severely injured from the battle. Naruto was not even allowed to recover from his injuries before being exiled by the council. As Naruto looked around the council, he was taken aback by this statement. The civilians and advisors all had smug expressions on their faces, happy that the demon brat would finally leave and the curse would be lifted. Danzo had 2 votes because he controlled the Shimura and was the current voice for the Uchiha until Sasuke reached the age of majority, and he used them to expel Naruto. Of course, he had his own plans for forcibly recruiting the Jinchuriki into Root while he was out of sight of the village. The Kuruma and Inuzaka clans were the last to vote for Naruto's exile because they both believed Naruto was the Kyuubi, one by popular opinion and the other by instinct and smell. The rest of the clan heads scoffed at the voters. Tsunade looked like she was about to cry when she saw Naruto's heartbroken face, but she resisted showing any emotion in front of the heartless bastards who stole Naruto's dreams. Naruto slowly removed his headband and placed it on the floor. He reached for his necklace, only to be stopped by Tsunade. Keep it, it's yours. "And I hope it keeps you safe," Tsunade said, tears streaming down her cheeks. Naruto exited the council chamber and returned home to pack. Before dismissing the council, the 17 voters quickly revoked the Sandame's law about Naruto being the Kyuubi's container, allowing the young generation to learn the truth. The news spread quickly among them, and their reactions ranged from one extreme to the other. While walking back to his house to pack, Naruto noticed the rest of the Kano at 12, excluding himself and Sasuke. Sakura yelled, "That Baka deserves to die for hitting Sasuke-kun." Agreed. "We should track down and kill that demon." Ino agreed with Sakura and yelled, "I should have known he was the fox all along. He should have died because I could smell that scent on him," Kiba muttered. "How disrespectful. Naruto cheated us and was the fox," Lee exclaimed. Naruto was already crying and contemplating suicide when he heard a voice he thought he'd never hear say this. "Shut up, Lee," Neji said coldly. Lee was stunned by this statement and was about to argue when he noticed Tenten staring coldly at him as well. "He is no better off than I am. He has a seal similar to mine, but worse, even with this caged bird seal. I am recognized as a shinobi and a prodigy among the people. Naruto has a seal that keeps the Kyuubi at bay. And yet many people in this village despise him." Despite sinking into despair, he continued to defy his fate as a scapegoat. "He even forced me to admit that fate was a jerk and that I should not follow her. Seals are familiar to me because I use them in my weapons. A scroll with a kunai on it is not the kunai itself, while the Kyuubi is inside, sealed away. Naruto remains Naruto." Tenten was added. "These cretins don't even know the difference between a scroll and a kunai." Naruto couldn't figure out why Hinata was crying. "Troublesome." Shikamaru grumbled. He also believed Naruto was not the Kyuubi, but was unable to form words due to his rage. Chaoji stood behind Shikamaru, finishing his 4th bag of chips. "Thank you," Naruto said quietly as he walked back to his house. Shino was completely overlooked in all of this. The news that Naruto had been exiled spread quickly, and the majority of the citizens rejoiced. Shinobis and Kunoichis were celebrating the fact that the demon that had plagued them for so long had vanished. Only a few citizens and shinobi were saddened by the fact that a shinobi had been expelled for doing his job. People were still celebrating as night fell on the town. Naruto, on the other hand, was packing his meager belongings into his pack and preparing to leave. Kakashi and even Jiraiya, his 2 teachers on whom he relied, never showed up to say anything. Someone knocked on his door just as he was about to cry himself to sleep. He didn't want to get it because he assumed it was one of the people who despised him. But the knocking became persistent. He stood up, opened the door, and yelled, "What are you looking for? Can't you just leave me alone?" When he looked up, he saw Hayashi, the clan head of the Hyuga clan. Hinata was blushing and poking her fingers together, as she, too, had no idea why she was here. "Naruto, may I enter? I swear I won't hurt you," Hayashi stated. He let them both in, stunned, before closing the door. Hayashi quickly closed all the windows and blinds before applying a silencing seal to the walls. This conversation never happened. "Naruto," Hayashi stated solemnly. Naruto gulped, unsure why he was here. "I've come to ask you for a favor," Hayashi said, taking both Naruto and Hinata by surprise. "I require that you take Hinata with you on your exile." Hinata began to cry and tried her hardest to hold back the tears. "My father doesn't even want me any longer," she lamented. Naruto was enraged. How could a father abandon his daughter in this manner? The next statement, on the other hand, caught both of them off guard. "I don't have much time left to stop my daughter from being branded with the caged bird seal. I do not want her to be imprisoned in a cage and forced into a loveless marriage in order to increase the Hyuga's wealth. I tried my hardest, but the elders rejected my decision to brand her and sell her to someone. I'd rather see her fly free with someone she loves and become a missing nin than see that happen," Hayashi stated. He bowed to Naruto and lowered his head to the ground. Please protect my daughter." Naruto was surprised that someone of Hayashi's status would bow to him, while Hinata was surprised and felt loved. All those years of insults within the Hyuga clan, and her father actually loved her, despite his actions. "I promised to Dadabeo, but why should I? I thought you despised me," Naruto stated. Hayashi laughed, frightening both preteens. "I could never dislike you. You are my best friend's son. You've met my family. Please tell me," Naruto interjected, eager to learn more about his family. People told him his entire life that he was unwanted and abandoned. The 3rd Hokage always claimed otherwise but never revealed his ancestry to him. "Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to due to the risk of treason," Hayashi snarled. This seemed to depress Naruto. "I believe this is the end of the story. On a side note, I'm going to become distracted and drop something, never remembering it. It might contain information about your family, but you should read it after you've left the village." As he stood up, Hayashi accidentally dropped a scroll in front of Naruto. Come on, Hinata, we have a lot to get ready. Naruto was stunned on his bed as they left when he suddenly went into a trance and appeared in his mindscape. When he turned around, he saw the Kyuubi staring back at him. What do you want? Naruto inquired coldly. All the Kyuubi could do was sigh. Kid, I guess it's my fault you've been exiled. I've never understood why you wanted to be Hokage of this desolate land. Naruto remained deafeningly silent. He wanted to be Hokage, but he'd never get the chance, even if he hadn't been banished. He realized that the people would never let him become Hokage because of their hatred for being the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. My point is, as an apology, I'll help you train using my power, the Kyuubi explained. Naruto didn't trust him right away, but he said he'd think about it. Naruto wasn't alone that night. As he had expected, Chuchai and Iam closed their shop for the day and brought Naruto ramen to cheer him up. Haruka joined them because they were all upset that Naruto had been exiled for doing his job. In the end, all good things came to an end when the sunrise arrived too soon. Naruto had packed all of his belongings before leaving. He left Konoha quietly because he didn't want to stay there any longer. Hinata had already been snuck out earlier by her father and was waiting for them at the agreed-upon tree. Both took one last look at Konoha after meeting with Hinata before heading west. The plan was to travel to Suna, where they might find refuge. Before they had gone 1 mile, they were stopped by two people they had never expected to see. Neji and Tenten stood by some trees, gear packed and seals ready to go. What are you guys doing here? Naruto inquired. Tenten and Neji-san, Hinata stuttered, terrified that they were there to bring her back. Relax. We're coming with you, Tenten said. I have sworn to protect you, Hinata-sama. I won't be able to protect you if you leave, so I'll accompany you, Neji declared. Naruto and Hinata both began to cry as a result of this. They attempted to persuade them to return, claiming that they would be fine, but were unable to do so. Instead, they decided to stop after moving a little further ahead to give Neji and Tenten more time to consider their decision before going too far out. The four travelers decided to stop for the night at an opening they discovered. Naruto tried once more to persuade Tenten and Neji to return, but both were obstinate. Neji swore to protect Hinata, and Tenten desired to accompany Neji while escaping Konoha's corruption. She wasn't really leaving anyone behind because she was also an orphan. Suddenly, some bushes behind them shook. They met Hanabi and Konohamaru as they took their kunai and entered taijutsu stances. Boss, Oenii-san. Hanabi and Konohamaru both cried out, running up to Naruto and Hinata and hugging them. What are you doing here? You too. You must return. It is not safe, Naruto yelled. Konohamaru exclaimed, I'm not leaving you, boss. I didn't want to be alone. Hinata-ni-san, Hanabi exclaimed as she sobbed. After allowing all of them to cry, Naruto finally asked the question that had been on their minds. How did you come across us? Some ninjas led us to you, saying they were going to help you, Konohamaru explained. They all froze at this point. The Kyuubi yelled out from within Naruto's mindscape kit. Dodge, move, exclaimed Naruto. The ground they were standing on was suddenly filled with shurikens and kunai as they all moved. Hanabi and Konohamaru couldn't stop shaking after seeing how close they had come to death. 10 shinobi appeared with Anbu masks and the root sign on their masks. Naruto Uzumaki, you will accompany us back to Danzo-sama to be trained for his greatness, their leader said monotonously. When the shinobi looked around, he noticed the others. 3 Hyugas, 1 Sarutobi, and an orphan are present. You will all accompany us to Danzo training. Samas, you have no other option. I'm not going back to that hellhole, yelled Naruto, taking a fighting stance. Everyone took up fighting positions until another interruption occurred, exacerbating the situation. Well, if it's not the Kyuubi brat, exclaimed Kasame. Naruto, come with us, Itachi said emotionlessly. Crap, this couldn't get any worse, Naruto thought. HMPH, allow me to take control for a while, and I'll show them what it's like to mess with the Lord of Foxes, Kyuubi exclaimed. Naruto raised his head. He couldn't yet put his trust in the demon to protect his friends. One of the root Anbu suddenly made a hand seal, causing Neji to collapse in pain. The man removed his mask to reveal that he was a main branch Hyuga disguised as a root Anbu. Hahaha, we can not only get rid of Hayashi's weakling heirs, but we can also put the branch family in their place. The shinobi laughed. Neji, exclaimed the young shinobis, leave me alone. As protect yourselves, Neji yelled as he clutched his brow. I'm not leaving you, exclaimed Tenten. What should I do? Thinks Naruto. Everything was going wrong, and only a deal with the devil or a miracle could save them at this point. The miracle came crashing through some trees. Incoming, yelled a figure before crashing into the middle of them all. The Akatsuki members were amused. The young shinobis were perplexed. and Root was emotionless. Soon after, the dust cloud dissipated, and a young man with slick black hair combed back and a few stray hairs in front of his brow emerged from the crater he had created. His outfit consisted of a yellow tank top, blue wushu pants, and green wristbands. His brown eyes, on the other hand, told them he was a warrior. "WOOT, new high jump record," yelled the figure, clearly oblivious to his surroundings. He took a look around before noticing Neji, who was still on the ground, clutching his brow. He was clearly trying to figure out what was wrong with him, while the others were still trying to get Neji up. Naruto and Hinata took positions in front of him. Before anyone could react, he vanished and reappeared in front of Neji. Before anyone could react, the man nearby removed Neji's headband and peered curiously at the caged bird seal. "Cool, as a souvenir," said the man as he placed a piece of paper on Neji's brow. Before anyone could figure out what was going on, there was a loud ripping sound followed by a scream of pain. Did he just stick a piece of sticky tape paper on the brat's forehead? Kisame wondered. "Bastard," yelled Naruto as he attempted to tackle the man with Hinata, who easily avoided it. "Wait, look at his brow." Tenten was taken aback. Everyone looked up to see that the caged bird seal had been replaced by a red mark on Neji's forehead. "What? It's impossible," the Hyuga growled. He dashed up to the man and attempted a juken strike to the man's heart, but, before he could, a foot landed on his face. "Nice job running into my foot," the man joked as he stretched his leg out in front of him. Frustrated, the Hyuga swung his foot away and attempted to strike him. But the man was too quick. "You're within my divination range. 32 palms and 8 trigrams," the Hyuga yelled. The man grabbed the Hyuga's wrists before the first palm was fired, effectively stopping the attack. "I hope you're ready for a beating because here it comes," exclaimed the man as he broke both of Hyuga's wrists. The shinobi couldn't even react as the other man threw him down before unleashing a barrage of fists that even Itachi struggled to see with his sharing. "That was boring," the man said before looking around. At this point, the entire root Anbu sprang into action. Hand seals were blazing through them all, hoping to finish this dangerous man off with a long-range jutsu. Many of them exclaimed, "Fire style! Fireball jutsu!" Soon, 9 fireballs were hurled at the man, who was still standing there. Wait a minute," exclaimed Hinata. She couldn't bear the thought of losing someone who had saved them. "Kit, watch carefully," the Kyuubi said as Naruto was about to use his shadow clones. "Huh," muttered Naruto. The Kyuubi went on. "This man isn't your typical guy. He could be even more powerful than I am." Before Naruto could comprehend what the Kyuubi had just said, the man shifted his position slightly so that his left side was facing the root shinobis. His left hand was holding his right fist behind his back. As the fireballs approached, he threw his right fist in the air and yelled, "Shotgun." The man's hand glowed bright blue without the use of any hand seals and began shooting out many tiny blue blasts from the fist. It pierced the fireballs, extinguishing them and striking all of the root ninjas. They were all dead within seconds. "Well, that was simple," the man said, rotating his arms. He looked around at the other people, who were still in awe of him. When he realized this, he began bragging. "I'm awesome, right?" exclaimed the man, his nose appearing to grow longer. This caused everyone to perspire. Itachi was the first to shake it off before returning his focus to Naruto, though he kept a wary eye on the man. "Come along with us." Itachi came to a halt when he noticed something wrong with this image. Naruto no longer wore a headband, which was strange given his desire to become a Hokage in the past. There were 2 unmarked Hyugas, 1 X-marked Hyuga, and 2 other people. None of them appeared to be on a mission, but rather attempting to flee. Before he could think any further, the man appeared between him and the children. "Listen, buddy. I'm not sure why you want these brats, but if you do, you have to go through me first," the man said, pounding his fists together. Kisame was gleeful and about to attack when Itachi abruptly raised his hand first, stopping Kisame from attacking. Kisame lowered his sword as he scowled at Itachi. "Naruto, please explain. Are you still a shinobi?" Itachi inquired. Naruto lowered his head in shame and tears, confirming the truth. Itachi took a step forward and turned to face Kisame. "This is where we split," he said. Kisame looked at him, perplexed. "I promised to protect Konoha and carry out the wishes of the 4th. Konoha has clearly fallen from grace, but I will not fail the other. Leave if you don't want to fight, because I don't want to have to kill you." Kisame gave Itachi a strange look before sighing and sitting down. "I joined Akatsuki for fun, but you're still more enjoyable to be around. I'll accompany you and leave Akatsuki behind." Itachi paused for a moment before acknowledging Kisame's decision and turning to face the man. "Thank you for keeping them safe." "No problem," the man replied. "But what's wrong with Blonde?" Naruto told everyone his story after everyone had reacclimated around the campfire. after finishing his life story. The man appeared to be preparing to march to Konoha and destroy them. "My foolish little brother," Itachi grumbled. "It appears he has fallen further than I imagined." "Along with Konoha, in that case. Why don't you come with me?" the man suggested. Everyone looked at him, thinking before they asked the big question. "Where are you from?" Tenten, who had Neji's head on her lap, inquired. "From the west, over that massive wall," the man explained. Everyone went completely still. They'd been taught that anyone from the other side of the wall posed a threat. Kasama appeared even more eager to fight him now. "How did you end up here?" Hinata inquired. "I leaped. I was competing in a jumping contest with a friend when I went a little too far," stated the gentleman. "I can keep you safe. Although I must admit that you Easterners are extremely frail. Most of us don't bother going over the wall because it repels most of us. But I'm an exception, however. I must warn you that the West is extremely chaotic, almost every day. There is a lot of fighting." They all looked at each other before deciding to accompany him. Naruto, Hinata, Tenten, Neji, Hanabi, and Konohamaru had nowhere else to go at this point. Kasama was more excited to see the West, where he had heard that there are people even more powerful than him. Everyone packed their belongings and left the next morning after sleeping. This is where it all starts. This is where Naruto and his friends travel to the West, where the elemental nations are never seen until much later. This is where Naruto grows up and becomes Emperor of the West with his friends. "By the way, who are you, Danabeo?" Naruto inquired. "I never introduced myself, right? In my kingdom, I'm the badass, one of the most powerful people in my country. The title is after 7 years. The Imperial Palace of the West was breathtaking. Its majestic structure, combined with its vibrant culture, could make any nation jealous. The gardens were filled with lovely and rare flowers, all neatly arranged to enhance the view. Inside the structure, there were magnificent red carpets with gold linings. The carpet was made of high-quality wood, and the walls were made of the finest materials. The doors were of high quality, and each doorknob was intricately designed. Paintings by the most skilled artists adorned the walls. What did the paintings depict? The Emperor, of course, was the subject. Each painting depicted him fighting and bleeding in battle. Other paintings were more peaceful, some of which featured his family. Most people were aware that this family had arrived from the east with one of their members. When they first saw them, most of them scoffed, but they proved themselves worthy. They rose and formed the Empire of the West after years of fighting and negotiating with various warlords. After centuries of conflict, this land was finally at peace. Warlords who had fought each other for blood and land now swore allegiance to the Emperor. The man himself was drooling while sleeping on a king-sized bed. The man's whiskers were the most noticeable feature of his face. Despite his sun-kissed blonde hair, a beautiful woman with long dark blue hair stood beside him, cuddling with the Emperor himself. The sun rose soon after. The birds began to sing, and, splash, a water balloon was thrown in their faces when they awoke. "It's time to get up." Naruto and Hinata awoke sputtering, naked from their activities the night before. Yusuke, the man who had brought them to the West, stood on the balcony. Yakiru Kusajishi, a 6-year-old pink-haired girl, sat next to him. "Kanuhe, King-san and Booby-chan have woken up. You're going to pay for it," Naruto roared as the two pranksters took off running. Hinata snatched him back before he flew out the window. "You don't want to go out in public naked. I'm the only one who can see you in all your glory," Hinata stated. Naruto quickly put on some clothes. Blushing, he kissed Hinata passionately before departing to pursue them. Hinata raised her arms before relaxing, allowing her impressive bust to jiggle slightly. Before getting dressed, she looked out the window as Yusuke and Yakiru ran away from Naruto, who was throwing random items at them to make them stop. They were passed by 4 people. "He's at it again. To be honest, you'd think he'd act his age for once and not corrupt little children as well." Tenten sighed as she clutched Neji's hand. They married around the same time as Naruto and Hinata, so it was a double wedding. There was so much for them to learn when they first arrived in the West. Fortunately, Yusuke and his friends were present to assist them, although Hiai's sarcastic demeanor usually irritates them. After a year of living with them, Naruto had the vision of uniting the lands and bringing peace to them. Many people laughed at first, but Yusuke thought it was a good idea. They went to other warlords and fought for lands, negotiated with others, and learned new skills. Tenten studied under the tutelage of a ninja clan led by Yuffie Kisaragi. "I believe Yakiru was already like that before Yusuke arrived," Neji responded. After fighting so many different masters, especially those from the Ryazanpaku building, where he trained with their grand disciple, he took the gentle fist to new heights. Even after all these years, The master still kicked his buttocks, but he was getting closer, despite their small size. Each of their members was a master of their craft. Hanabi and Konohamaru agreed with Neji and nodded. A year after uniting the West, these two young shinobi fell in love. They had been arguing for a long time, but Konohamaru finally gave up, grabbed her, and kissed her. Hanabi blushed so much that she fainted, proving that she was indeed Hinata's sister. Both of them had learned a great deal by following Naruto and Neji as their guides. "Stop moving," yelled Naruto as he began throwing kunais. As they ran out to the sparring grounds, Yusuke and Yakiru were still laughing. Sounds of swords and other weapons clashing and clanging could be heard here. Yakiru quickly climbed up to Zaraki Kenpachi's shoulder. King-san not happy about a joke," she exclaimed, laughing. "Yakiru, we talked about it. Don't climb onto me when I'm fighting," Kenpachi grumbled. His opponent was Kasame, who simply shrugged. "We can fight later, eh?" Emperor appears to be awake. Itachi sipped his tea on the side. He simply smiled at Naruto before returning to his tea. "Naruto-sama, it's almost time for the Unification Festival," Itachi said as he sipped his tea. "I'm glad you have to deal with the paperwork." Yusuke chuckled. Naruto had expected Yusuke to become emperor after they had united the entire West and was prepared to serve him. Then Yusuke just dumped it all on him, telling him he wasn't cut out for it and that he needed to spend more time with his wife Keiko. Naruto trembled. Keiko was only a civilian, but she could easily subdue them all with her fist. Even Kasama didn't actively try to irritate her by threatening to make sashimi and shark fin soup. It helped to have a powerful husband who could do that. Furthermore, everyone agreed Naruto possessed more charisma and leadership ability. A ninja appeared out of the shadows. Unlike the Eastern shinobi, who used flashy jutsu, these ninjas had been trained to truly hide in the shadows. Once an independent guild of assassins, the Brotherhood was joined by others and truly perfected the art of silent death. "Two men wish to meet you, my lord." They claimed to be intimately familiar with your life in the East. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, except for Kasame. Everyone knew about Naruto's life in the East, as did everyone else's. Nobody cared because they knew he was violent and enjoyed fighting, but he was also loyal. "I see. Request that they meet me in the royal throne room. I'll be there soon," Naruto snarled. The ninja walked into the shadows and merged in, becoming invisible. Naruto entered the throne room to find two people he had never expected to see, especially since they never saw or spoke to him in the first place. Kakashi, Jiraiya, what the hell are you two looking for? Now. There's no need to be so hostile, Kakashi said, especially since we're not with Konoha and haven't been for a long time. Naruto came to a halt at that sentence, perplexed and surprised. "Let us explain what happened after you were exiled," Jiraiya said. Flashback. Jiraiya-sama, you returned from your lead, Kakashi asked as he walked back to the village. It was the end of the road for Akatsuki. Nothing new there, Jiraiya responded. Kakashi was on a mission, and Jiraiya was following a lead. They had met and were now walking back to Konoha. "I've been gone for a few days," Kakashi explained. "Hopefully, the boys will not fight again. Naruto learning the Rasengan surprised me. Before I left, I had to lecture Sasuke once more about using Chidori on allies. Hopefully, our conversation got him to behave. I doubt it. Sasuke desires power. Tsunade Haim, hopefully, was able to control him." Jiraiya pondered. They soon entered the gate and discovered a massive festival in progress. Everyone was drinking and having a good time. "What is the festival for?" Kakashi inquired. He approached a passing jounin and inquired. "You've never met Kakashi. Today is a fantastic day. We finally expelled the demon yesterday." "What?" muttered Kakashi and Jiraiya. The jounin was too drunk to notice the shift in tone. "Yes, the council finally decided to expel that Kyuubi brat from Konoha under the guise of death. But the punishments were too good for that kid. He should have been executed for his actions against Uchiha-sama." "Kakashi, you should be happy. No more pretending to care about that HURKK." The jounin couldn't speak anymore because Kakashi had suddenly lifted him by the throat. His hiatus had already been lifted, revealing his Sharingan in full blaze. "You violated Sandame's law in front of children. Any final thoughts?" Kakashi muttered. "Stop." Kakashi turned around to see Anbu encircling them. The law was repealed on the day Naruto was exiled. Before dropping the jounin, Kakashi gave him another disgusted look. "Hokage-sama, where are you?" She would never have accepted this, Jiraiya stated. They charged in after being directed to her current residence and were about to confront her when they noticed her condition. She had sake bottles all over the place. Her henge was broken, indicating that she no longer cared. She stank of sake and didn't appear to have taken a shower in the previous 24 hours. What do you two desire? Get out. Please leave me alone, she moaned as she reached for another bottle. Drunkenly, Jiraiya stayed with Shizune after learning the full story from Shizune. While Kakashi marched out, as he walked out, he was met by Sasuke and the two elder advisors. Kakashi-san, the council has decided that you should take Sasuke as your personal apprentice and teach him all of your jutsus. Having a Uchiha as your apprentice should make you proud. Kakashi, even with you phony Sharingan, you'll never be able to compete with my clan. You should feel honored to be able to teach a true Sharingan user, mocked Sasuke. Before snapping, Kakashi gave them a nice smile. He leaped forward, delivering a back kick to Sasuke's stomach. Given Kakashi's lack of restraint, he flew quite far. Kakashi, what exactly have you done? You'll be taken to Ibiki for causing harm to Uchiha-sama, Hamura yelled. I'm punishing him for attempting to desert the leaf as his sensei. Kakashi explained. The cursed seal was to blame, if it hadn't been for that and the demon child. I'm sure Uchiha-sama would have stayed. Koharu spat out. That's nonsense. And you know it. If he really didn't want to leave, my seal would stop it from acting up, Kakashi muttered. Regardless, you have harmed the last Uchiha. Anbu, accept him, Koharu yelled out. Halt, yelled someone. Tsunade had finally left the building, and everyone looked around. She looked at them before speaking. What is that scum doing outside? I told my shinobi to imprison him, she indicated Sasuke. Be reasonable. Tsunade, if you imprison him, he will be more likely to flee due to injustice, Hamura stated. Tsunade slammed her fist into the earth, causing it to tremble. You have no right to refuse my orders to my shinobi. That's also Hokage-sama to you. Kakashi returned to his house after Sasuke was quickly taken there. He was summoned to the council 5 hours later. Haddock Kakashi. Shinobi Jounin 9720. You have been summoned to explain why you do not want to teach Uchiha-sama the jutsu he deserves to learn, including the Rasengan, Hamura said. The Shinobi Council was outraged by this ridiculous charge, while the civilian council was trying to persuade the others that Uchiha should learn everything Kakashi had to teach him, as well as having all the other clans teach him their clan jutsus. Needless to say, it was a shambles. Tsunade was about to yell for silence when he heard the crackling of lightning, followed by many chirps. Everyone turned to see Kakashi with his Chidori blazing at full power. Now that I have your attention, I'd like to make an announcement. He removed his hayate and threw it in front of Tsunade. I resign with immediate effect. When this unexpected announcement was made, everyone fell silent. The room quickly erupted in unison. Everyone was pleading with or questioning Kakashi about why. He remained silent, his gaze fixed on Tsunade. Okay, that's fine. Kakashi is no longer a leaf shinobi. However, you are not permitted to join any other villages. Kakashi nodded before turning around and leaving. Before leaving, he added, I'll be out of town for a while. I haven't taken a vacation in a long time. Tsunade recognized the hidden meaning right away. He desired to locate Naruto and ensure his safety. Okay, approved. You are free to leave. Wait, everyone turned to face Danzo, who had stood up. If you wish to leave the village, you must relinquish the Sharingan and give it to a worthy successor. Kakashi tossed a scroll onto the floor and activated it, surprising everyone. What was in it? There was a jar, and inside it was a floating Sharingan eyeball. Already took it out. Don't need it anymore, replied Kakashi before making a hand sign. Before anyone could react, the jar exploded, destroying the eyeball. I'm not letting anyone take Obito's gift, though. Anbu, seize him for destroying a precious resource, shouted Danzo. Kakashi laughed at this before suddenly dispersing into smoke, showing that it was a shadow clone. Curse him. Send out the hunter nins. We must kill him for doing such a travesty. Add him to the bingo book, said Hamura. No. Tsunade's voice was loud and clear. He was officially discharged from service. Nobody will send anyone to find him. That eyeball was his, and he made sure that it wouldn't fall into enemy hands. This meeting is over. Flashback ends. Naruto was staring at Kakashi after they told him their story. He had just noticed that he was wearing a red headband that covered his left eye instead of his usual hayate. His eyes started to water at this revelation. His senseis didn't abandon him after all. They were just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and couldn't help him. Why? He asked. Kakashi took the time to pull out another scroll and unsealed what was inside it. A cabinet with 5 drawers appeared. As Kakashi pulled out each drawer, they could see it was full of paperwork in each one. This cabinet is records of all the time I tried to adopt you. Every time I was blocked by the civilian council, who controlled the adoption process. Even after each rejection, I still tried. When they threatened me, I pushed back. This process continued until you finally became a shinobi, where I could no longer adopt you. Still, I pushed to become your sensei after that. The council only agreed if I took the Uchiha with you. When I left, I searched all over the elemental nations for you. I stayed with Koyuki. After a while I couldn't find you. Imagine my surprise when she knew where you were. Naruto's eyes were streaming with tears now. After wiping them off, he asked, "But you barely taught me anything. Even when I asked you to train me for the Chunin exam, you took Sasuke team and left me with Abisu." Kakashi laughed. "You really think it was coincident that the first place he took you to train Jiraiya was there? Plus the council forced me to teach him to make sure he would live against a Jinchuriki like you." Naruto realized that Kakashi had already planned with Jiraiya to have him train and make it seem like it was a lucky chance. Jiraiya took this chance to say his piece. "After you left, I almost killed the civilian council. The only thing that stopped me was hope that I could find you. When I got a toad saying you took your name out of the contract and jumped over the wall, I was filled with misery. I couldn't tell Kakashi early as he already left. So I decided to do the same and leave Konoha. I claimed asylum with Koyuki-sama later, and she's going to star in my movie, Ika Ika Paradise." Jiraiya had a perverted grin at that before becoming serious. "Still, the council would be flipping over if they knew whose child they banished," said Jiraiya. "I already know who my parents are," replied Naruto. Kakashi and Jiraiya were surprised. "Hayashi gave me a scroll explaining everything, and also gave me my inheritance." Should have known Hayashi would be the one to tell. "He was your father's best friend," said Jiraiya, before realizing something. "Wait, your inheritance?" Naruto nodded, before disappearing in a yellow flash. Guess he learned it after all," chuckled Kakashi as he pulled out his green little book again. It was the latest Ika Ika novel. Naruto soon reappeared with Hinata, Neji, Tenten, Konohamaru, and Hanabi. The five of them were leaking huge bloodlust until Naruto, Kakashi, and Jiraiya explained what happened earlier. Soon, tears and hugs were given. "Asuma had almost had a heart attack when you disappeared," chuckled Kakashi to Konohamaru. Konohamaru flinched at the name. "It's Maru, now. I didn't want to be reminded of Konoha anymore." "You guys know what's happening in Konoha right now?" asked Jiraiya. Back at Konoha, Konoha was at an all-time low. The village had no alliances to any major or minor villages anymore. Wave and Sand broke off all agreements, which was followed by Spring and many other places. In total, every place Naruto had been to that aided Konoha was now being thrown back in their face. At first, the whole village was ecstatic that the demon brat was finally gone, but they did not know the consequences that it would bring them. Even the fire daimyo was furious at them and cut down funding to save face against the other daimyos. They lost one of their best elite jounin and another sannin and his spy network, even though it is considered a major village. Konoha was now considered the weakest of all 5 villages, and its position would soon be usurped by the new Sound Village. The civilian council, however, didn't care and believed themselves to still be the strongest. However, a new development forced them to recognize the danger they were in. It was Anoki died, and a new Tsuchikage took over who wanted Konoha burned to the ground. Kuretsuchi was slated for it but somehow disappeared. The Sound Village had allied itself with Iwa and declared war on Konoha. Without any allies, Konoha would die. What was even worse was Orochimaru had been accepted back in the Akatsuki with the disappearance of Itachi and Kasama. Inside the council room, "If we don't find a way out of this, Konoha will fall," declared Tsunade. Her eyes were dull and bags could be seen from under her eyes, signifying she didn't have a good night's sleep. She hadn't had one ever since Naruto had been banished. "I don't see what the big problem is," scoffed a pink-haired counselor by the name of Haruno. "All we need is Uchiha-sama leading our army and we'll win. In fact, we should make him Hokage right now." While several of the civilian council agreed, all the others were looking at her if she was retarded. "Now isn't the time for a new Hokage," said Danzo. "If Konoha is to survive, we must look for someone to help us, even if it means extending past the wall." Silence pervaded the council room at this statement. Then, outbursts could be heard. "Everyone, shut up," yelled Tsunade, causing everyone to become silent. "Danzo is right. We have no choice. We don't have any alliances here. Perhaps we could strike an alliance with the West. We must find some way to send them an envoy of peace." Back at the Imperial Palace, Konoha is on the verge of being burnt to the ground due to the alliance of Odo,